Have you ever felt angry, frustrated, or ticked off because a family member ticked you off? Or maybe a friend, or it could be anyone really. Maybe it's not family, but usually it's family who trigger us the most, right? Because we love them. If yes, stay on till the end of this video, because I'm going to show you how to create some boundaries in your life so that you no longer have to go home sad or angry, feeling and having your blood pressure boil. It's not going to help, right? One of the things in my life that used to drive me really crazy is that my mom, my late mom, she came from a family that really prioritized beauty. My aunt was a supermodel, and my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, they were all really beautiful women in their time. And so she was always nagging me to look good, to dress up, to put lipstick on, to wear earrings, to be slim, because if I didn't take care of my beauty, then my husband would leave me, or my partner, my spouse, my boyfriend, whoever I was at the time, might leave me. I thought that was really shallow. And because of that, my mom and my aunt, they have never been fat. And then look at me. They prioritize beauty so much that they always look really, really hot. And so it was never a problem until I became pregnant and became fat, and suddenly it started really triggering me. She would nag me to lose weight, and bless her, because she did it out of love and with the best of intentions. But then she would then bake me chocolate cake, which she knew that I loved, and she would feed me so much because she knew food made me happy. And I can't help it. I love food. I'm a foodie. But then it's really confusing when she wants you to be slim, but then she keeps feeding you good food. So it used to drive me nuts. And I struggled to, maybe it was some internal anger that made me want to rebel against her. So I didn't care, and so I just ate and became fat. I lived in this duality for a good 10 years. And the thing is, it wasn't her fault. She just wanted the best for me. And it's my fault, because I should have created some boundaries so that in order not to hurt myself by becoming fat, and also not have to suffer the emotional pain or the emotional confusion that made me want to rebel, right? Hi there, this is Patsy Woo, turning ideas into dollars the WooWay, living a champagne life. It's time for you to pop the cork for your champagne life so that you can sip your way to success and revel in bubbles of bliss. Let's get back to setting boundaries. So in setting boundaries, decide in every sector of your life to design a boundary, because this will really serve you well. So in your life, there would be physical boundaries, intellectual boundaries, financial boundaries, time boundaries, expectations, and emotional boundaries, the most important, because emotions are where we get hurt the most, where we falter and make wrong decisions. So physical boundaries are the touch of the body. It includes sexual boundaries as well. And so then you get to decide how much can a person be in your space. Do you allow people to hug you? Do you allow people to kiss you? Who do you allow to do whatever it is to you, to your body? And how far do they have to be in your space, right? I remember that I used to have an uncle who loved to kiss me on the lips, and I used to hate it. So every time he would try to kiss me, it was, to him, it was just a hello kiss, but I'm like, oh, I would always turn my face. I should have just said, I don't like kissing, please don't kiss me. Let's just greet each other, hello, and that's it. And then there are also people who love hugging, and I don't really like hugging. Hugging for me is reserved only for very close family members and people whom I really like. So again, set your boundaries so that people know whether or not to hug you. And then there are also boys who sidestep. In your youth, I used to have, in your youth, you might have some boys who might try to take advantage of you and cross the boundary. So then you really need to know the boundary so that you can stop everything on its tracks, instead of them going over the boundary and then regretting later. Yeah. When it comes to intellectual boundaries, it is the knowledge that you have and how much you want to share with people. So for example, if let's say you were very knowledgeable in a certain subject, and perhaps it is your bread and butter, it is your business to know a lot about crystals, let's say, and then people keep coming to you for free advice, then you need to know your boundaries to know to what extent you're going to share your crystal knowledge with them, right? Otherwise, you're going to, if you didn't set a boundary, then they're going to keep asking you questions and you're going to keep sharing. And in the end, you are hurting your own bread and butter because you have given too much free advice. There are also people who like to dig and dig and dig for information because they know how knowledgeable you are, and then they might use that information against you later. So be very careful about your intellectual boundaries, because if you don't design a boundary, then you tend to overstep and not realize how much you have overshared. But if you knew what your boundaries were, then you know when it's come to the edge of the line, you know you gotta stop. You gotta stop, turn away, leave, whatever, right? And when it comes to financial boundaries, this is something that I was so weak at because I used to people please a lot. You need to also decide how much are you willing to share with others. Have a budget, every month. What amount are you willing to give away and to who? And what do you do when people come and ask you for money? A lot of people come to ask me for money or have in the past. Some still do. And in the past, because I never had a boundary, I was always giving and giving and giving to the point where I didn't even have enough money for my own taxes because I had not kept an account of how much I had given away. Every time people wanted money, I felt sorry for them and I would just give it away. So this is a really bad habit. You need to set your financial boundaries very, very solidly, very strongly. As for your time, again, you come first, your family comes first. And this is also something I was very weak at. I used to give away all my time and sacrifice my own family time for everyone else. And so I really urge you to create a time boundary for your own life and put every single thing that you need to do into your calendar. So for example, if you needed to pick up your daughter from school, if you needed to shower, have time with your husband, schedule it all into your calendar so that whenever someone asks you for time, check your calendar to see if there are any empty slots after you have had all that time that you are supposed to have with yourself and with your family, and then only give to others. As for expectations, I always say that there are only 3 things in the world that you should be expecting, and that is love and nurture from your parents. The second one is love for yourself. Yes, you need to expect this from yourself. And these are the only 3 things that any human being should ever have, okay? Love for yourself, love from your parents, and honoring a signed agreement. So for example, if I agree with you to meet today, we have a signed agreement, then I can expect you to be there to meet me because we have a signed agreement. Anything else, you shouldn't be expecting because people change, people do weird things, and you will be disappointed if you expect things from people, no matter what. And so the last boundary to create is your emotional boundary, and this is like the most important boundary to design because when you are affected emotionally, your whole life gets upside down. You may not even be an emotional person, but it catches up with you eventually. So set an emotional boundary. And if you do not have any expectations, then you will do well with emotions because you have no expectation. And so if you have no expectation, then the boundaries would be automatic, right? Because you didn't have any expectation, so then there will be no disappointment and then you will have no reason to be hurt. Now the drawback of not designing a boundary for every aspect of your life is that you're going to end up being disappointed, you're going to get hurt, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be angry. So why allow these negative feelings to enter your life when you could very well have been in full control of it? And not only that, by not having boundaries, strong boundaries, you tend to do things, a lot of people do this, you tend to do things to please others, to make other people happy. And when you do so much for other people, right, sometimes people actually stop respecting you because you become such a doormat. Whenever they ask you to do something, you are ever ready to do it. So people stop respecting you. And so you should not do everything for everyone. Decide how much you want to give to others and stop where your boundary is. Don't overgive because people will take advantage of you eventually. Now the benefits of having a boundary in every aspect of your life is that you become a solid mountain in the ocean. And so because you're so clear with what your boundaries are and not allowing anyone to sidestep and cross the boundary, you become this solid mountain in the ocean whereby all the waves that keeps crashing into the mountain cannot penetrate because your boundary is strong, your wall is up, right? And so the waves just keep crashing and crashing and crashing, and you just stay strong as the solid mountain as nature intended. And the waves can crash all they want, and they do so happily together with you in flow as nature had intended. If you didn't create the boundary, then the mountain can crumble and you will be allowing the waves to penetrate. And then eventually what happens? Imagine if you were a hill made of sand. The waves are going to keep crashing, and then eventually the whole sand structure is going to collapse, right? And that is you, your life. So do you want that? The objective here is for you to learn how to say no without giving anyone a reason. You do not owe anybody a reason. You just have to say no. If it's not within your boundary, just say no. You do not have to give any reasons. But design your boundary so that you know what it is. And it's a great practice because when you say no, the people who accept your no are people who will celebrate you. And the people who don't, they shouldn't be in your life anyway, you know? Good people at your level and above will celebrate you saying no and not snitch behind your back and gossip and hate you behind your back. Anybody who does that is below you. And so then you don't need them in your life. Let me give you 3 examples that I've had in my life. One was when I was working in a design firm, and I had a friend who introduced me a client. And after introducing me the client, I got a small part of the job for my company, and my friend suddenly ditched me because I didn't give him a commission. At the time, I didn't even know that I was supposed to give him a commission. And apparently, it was like the standard in Malaysia that when you refer a client, you should pay a commission. But the thing is, this was never raised, and this was not even in my radar. I was a new business development manager in the company, and as a multinational professional company, we did not give real estate property agents commission. So he just ditched me just like that, and I was completely innocent. And this is because I didn't have a boundary, and in fact I should have, no, there is no way I would ever have known. But because he had ditched me, perhaps I should have made it known to everyone else just for awareness, so that nobody gets hurt in the end like I did, you know, because it's an expectation. He expected me to give him a commission, and I was like totally oblivious. It was very unfair on me. And if anything, he should have come out and said it up front so that everyone is aware. And then I could have had the option of saying, I don't want your referral. The other incident that I had was I was looking for a new property, and my husband had already put a down payment to a property. And one of my friends happened to be a property agent, and I asked him if he could take me to go see the property. I could have asked my husband, I could have asked another property agent, but this guy was my friend. So I thought, okay, why not? Since he agreed, he's free. And I told him that I was looking at it. And so he brought me to see the property. But later, he found out that I had already put a down payment on the property, and it wasn't through him. He also ditched me. I mean, I was totally oblivious again. I mean, like, is it my fault that I'm not aware of, that I wasn't aware that I needed to go through him to get the property? I had already put a down payment on the property, you know? And if he wasn't sure, then why didn't he just ask? So, you know, the world is a complicated place, and people will always have something to throw at you. So having created these strong boundaries, now I am protected to know where my lines are, and so then people cannot take advantage of me anymore and intentionally hurt me through no fault of mine. Another thing a lot of people used to do to me is that they'll try to sell me stuff and they wouldn't tell me how much it is. And when I asked, because I want to buy the stuff, they will say, oh, don't worry, later, we'll settle it later. And so I'm like, okay. And you know what? It never comes out to a market rate. It comes out to some crazy inflated 10 times above market rate price, which makes me feel so abused and used. It makes me feel just really, really upset. And it's my fault, because I should have set my boundary to say, look, if it's above $200, I'm not getting it. So better you tell me now how much it is, you know, instead of just saying, okay, agreeing to their, don't worry, I'll tell you later. My fault, totally my fault. So if you'd like to know how to create some really solid boundaries in your life, for your career and your personal life, check out my deeds in the show notes and get in touch. Also, please help me to subscribe so that I can fast reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. If you'd like to learn so much more about life and success, every facet of life, because I have pretty much been through a lot and can probably help you, I'm available for a call. Let's chat and see how I can help you. Maybe you can help me. All right, lovelies. Cheers to your life of abundance. My next video will be about the breakdown of relationships, and it's going to be juicy. Let's work together so that we can toast to your transformation to sparkle in every moment. Bye.